Hello everybody, my name is Henk de Berg. I'm a professor of German at the University of Sheffield and a cultural theorist. In this lesson I will ask the question, to what extent is Freudian psychoanalysis still relevant today? Over the years, Freudian psychoanalysis has been both vilified and praised to the skies. One year a magazine title may read "Freud was wrong" or "Freud the charlatan." And the next year, another magazine, or even the same magazine, may have a title saying something like, "Freud was right after all." I think it'll always be like that. But there is one challenge that we must take seriously, and that is the challenge of genetics. We are living in an age of biochemistry and pills. So, do we still need psychoanalysis? Isn't everything down to our genetic makeup? I want to answer that question by telling you a story, a true story. But before I do that, I want to make an important point. Freud himself acknowledges if someone has a mental illness and they're taking pills and the pills are working, they should absolutely keep taking the pills. If it works, it works. Even in his absolute final publication, a book called Abriss der Psychoanalyse, an Outline of Psychoanalysis, which was published a year after Freud's death. But psychoanalysis tells us something else as well. Psychoanalysis also tells us that there is more to life than biochemistry, that not everything can be solved by giving people pills or by looking at their genetic makeup. I want to illustrate that, as I say, by a story, a true story told a few years ago by a neuroscientist called James Fallon. Fallon was a hardcore scientist. In 19th century terms, he was a positivist. He believed that what people do and say is entirely determined by their genetic makeup, and if they have mental health problems, then that is all to do with the brain. Fallon did a really famous study of psychopaths, of psychopathic killers, and he was able to identify the brain structure of a psychopath. So he could look at someone's brain structure, scan of someone's brain, and then say, yeah, this is the structure of the brain of a typical psychopath, a psychopathic killer. He published his results and it was all great. Then Fallon said to himself, okay, suppose I can do the same thing with Alzheimer's patients. That would be really good, because then we might be able to cure Alzheimer's. If Alzheimer patients, if you're prone to Alzheimer's and you have a specific brain structure, then maybe we can alter the brain structure or impact on it by giving people pills or whatever, and then they might not end up having Alzheimer's. So he started working on this, working with patients, doing research and so on. And he'd made a lot of progress, and at some point he said, okay, I think I've now identified the brain structure that is typical of people who will get Alzheimer's or who have Alzheimer's. So he says to his research assistant, let's do a little test. Just give me 10 scans of brains of people with Alzheimer's and 10 brain scans of people who haven't got Alzheimer's. And for that, just use people in my family, take 10 people from my family, because there's no Alzheimer's in my family whatsoever. So the research assistant comes in and hands Fallon these 20 brain scans. And Fallon goes through these brain scans, looking at them, saying, okay, brain structure, yeah, Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's, not Alzheimer's, not Alzheimer's. And then suddenly he goes, oh, hang on a bit. This is a brain scan of a psychopath. And he says to his research assistant, so you made a mistake. This is the Alzheimer's project. We finished the study of psychopaths. So this is a brain scan of a psychopath. Put it back in the other pile of our previous project. And the research assistant says, no, that brain scan should be in here. And Fallon says, look, no. Remember, we did the project on psychopaths, and I'm telling you, this is a psychopathic killer. Put this brain scan back in the other pile. But again, the research assistant says, no, that should be in this pile. So Fallon then says to the research assistant, okay, so who's this a brain scan of then? And the research assistant says, that's a scan of your brain, Professor. So Fallon is looking at a scan of his own brain, which has exactly the structure, the genetic makeup of a psychopathic killer. The thing is, Fallon wasn't a psychopathic killer. He was a happily married man with children, never been in conflict with the law. He was fine. He was a good, upstanding citizen. What does this story tell us? It tells us that our personality achieves balance, or fails to do so, in the interaction with a concrete social environment. And it is Freudian psychoanalysis, not biology, not genetics, that provides us with a conceptual toolbox, allowing us to understand this human, all-to-human interaction.